Discover the extraordinary fragrance Ariana Grande REM Cherry Eclipse. Delight in black cherry jubilee, sugared honeysuckle, marshmallow meringue, and glowing amber. Get the perfect fragrance. Ariana Grande's REM Cherry Eclipse, exclusively at Ulta Beauty.
This episode is brought to you by Blink. Why wait for Black Friday? Blink Friday starts now with up to 65% off Blink Smart Security. Check on your pets all season long with new Blink Mini 2K Plus cameras. See your gifts arrive in head-to-toe view with Blink Video Doorbell. From pet parents to jet setters to busy families, Blink Friday deals have your holidays covered. Shop now at amazon.com/blink.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. 5 o'clock. Good morning. It is Friday, November 21st. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Clouds today, high 52. Mixed bag for the weekend. Saturday, rain in the morning. Clouds in the afternoon, high 15, and then Sunday, sunshine, high 51. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 36 cloudy in Mount Ivy up in Rockland County, 42 and cloudy in Lambertville over in New Jersey, and it's 40 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Mayor-elect Mamdani has his big meeting at the White House today. What caused an explosion at a Midtown parking garage? A creep who set up cameras in a Long Island sleep center is sentenced. Cops searching for a mom who put her fetus in a pile of leaves. And the Christmas windows have finally been unveiled. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. Loud explosion about 9 o'clock right in our neighborhood last night. This was East 53rd Street between Lexington Avenue and 3rd Avenue. It came from a Midtown parking garage. A heavy vent cover, for some reason, went flying into the sky. Two women who were walking by were injured. There were a lot of witnesses to this.
Like that cover from the building came across like a bullet, and it hit the girls that they were walking by. The first thing that I did, I called EMS. I called 911 for the girls because I saw the girl was not responding.
Yes, the firefighters raced to the scene. They say there was some sort of backdraft or back puffer of the generator that caused this heavy steel vent to fly into the air, propelling it onto the street and then hitting these two pedestrians. Here's firefighters.
We just believe it was accidental. It might have been either a back puff on the generator, and it just ignited maybe the soot in the chimney and or the vent pipe, causing it to explode.
You can imagine it was quite a scene here in Midtown last night as they tried to figure out exactly what took place, but now they're just saying it was just some sort of accident. They'll have to figure it out. Both of the victims taken to the hospital, one woman recovering from minor injuries, while the other victim is in serious but stable condition this morning. Fire marshals have been at the scene, or at least were at the scene overnight, investigating what caused this. They're also looking into whether the generator was being operated unsafely. No more details on this, but again, they're calling it an accident. 5:02, it is a big day for Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani. He says he's ready to make his case for New York at the White House this afternoon with President Trump when the two sit down for a meeting.
I will work with anyone to make life more affordable for the more than 8.5 million people who call this city home. I have many disagreements with the president, and I believe that we should be relentless and pursue all avenues and all meetings that could make our city affordable for every single New Yorker.
The meeting could be a little awkward between the two leaders, especially since they've just savaged each other over the last couple months. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the people will welcome, this is her words, a communist to the White House when Mamdani visits today.
I also think it speaks to the fact that President Trump is willing to meet with anyone and talk to anyone and to try to do what's right on behalf of the American people.
President Trump has constantly referred to Mamdani as a communist.
Tomorrow, we have a communist coming to the White House because that's who the Democrat Party elected as the mayor of the largest city in the country.
Mayor Mamdani did soften his stand a little bit against the president during a press conference yesterday.
This meeting is between two very different candidates who they voted for the same reason. They wanted a leader who would take on the cost of living crisis that makes it impossible for working people to afford living in this city.
Well, this meeting should be fun. I see it on the schedule, the White House schedule. It's set for 3 o'clock this afternoon. 5:04. Let's go out to Queens. 32 reputed gang members indicted in Queens in the largest single gang takedown in Queens history. Commissioner Jessica Tisch, the police commissioner, of course, made the announcement yesterday afternoon, saying charges included murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy in what she described as a 4-year turf war in Southeast Queens, so-called Bad Company Bailout Gang. I always love the names of these gangs. Based in Queens Village, referred to by its members as Shadyville. The Queens DA, Melinda Katz, says they were ruthless. It's now considered the most violent gang in the borough, terrorizing rivals and also harming innocent bystanders.
We allege that these defendants have become the most violent gang in the borough of Queens County, creating fear and violence.
Queens DA says the gang carried out at least 13 shootings, including 3 homicides, many just in the middle of the day. The alleged gang leader, a rapper from Queens Village, accused of arming local teenagers in Southeast Queens and then giving them permission to shoot at rivals to gain status in their gang.
Think about what the daytime shootings bring. Think about people walking to school, coming from school, seniors going to senior centers, doing your shopping. One defendant's exploits were so well known that his nickname was Broad Day.
Yeah, watching some of the surveillance video from 2024, it shows 2 of these gunmen opening fire. This is 3 o'clock in the afternoon outside of McDonald's in Cambria Heights. Thankfully, they did not hurt anybody, but of course, they frightened everybody inside the McDonald's who had to duck for cover.
These defendants knew exactly what they were doing, and they often bragged about their crimes, showing no regard for human life.
Okay, 23 defendants apprehended by the NYPD. They've are behind bars today. A group of 6 defendants were already apprehended and incarcerated previously. Officials say there's still 3 people at large, and they're trying to find them, and hopefully they'll find them as soon as possible. 5:06, let's go down to the White House, where the press secretary Caroline Leavitt was trying to explain a number of comments the president has made over the last 3 or 4 days. Maybe you saw this one where he called a female reporter a piggy while she was in the middle of a Q&A. The video shows her, the president, telling her quiet piggy before turning to another reporter. So White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defending the president in this case.
It's one of the many reasons that the American people reelected this president, because of his frankness. And he calls out fake news when he sees it. He gets frustrated with reporters when you lie about him, when you spread fake news.
Leavitt says the president gives reporters a level of access not seen, I mean, you could say probably in any White House ever. And she says with that level of access comes some openness and frankness, where you get being called a piggy.
I think the president being frank and open and honest to your faces rather than hiding behind your backs is frankly a lot more respectful than what you saw in the last administration.
And then he also, she wanted to talk about the fact that the president had put this post up on Truth Social where he refused to refer to a group of Democrats as their seditious behavior punishable by death. He was referring to some lawmakers who had made a video telling military members to ignore orders issued by the president if they're illegal. So here's a response to that.
Encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders. The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed.
Yeah, the president keeping Caroline Leavitt a very busy woman. WABC News Time 5:10. The FBI investigation continues into the death of a Florida teenager whose body was found under a bed on a Carnival cruise ship docked in Miami 2 weeks ago. Miami Maritime Attorney Jack Hickey says while there is no sworn police force on board a cruise ship, there is security.
In this case, they did apparently, from accounts from other passengers, tape off the room. Whether they cleaned the room, whether they preserved it properly, we don't know.
Miami-Dade County medical examiner trying to determine the cause of death. Her 16-year-old stepbrother investigated by the FBI in connection to her death.
The cruise lines have an immense amount of control over the witnesses and the crime scene, and that makes it a problem to prosecute.
Yeah, trying to figure out exactly who would prosecute and where this trial might take place. 5-11, House Republicans putting pressure on House Speaker Mike Johnson to pass a bill that would ban congressional stock trading. Texas Congressman Chip Roy calls it all madness.
The American people are tired of watching members of Congress day trade, get rich, when the American people aren't in the positions of power that they hold.
The plan got bipartisan support at a hearing this week, but an actual vote, that for some reason is still up in the air today.
If you want to day trade, if you want to be able to actively trade, then don't run for Congress. I think we ought to limit it. I think we ought to pass a restriction.
Roy says that allowing members to day trade is just a conflict of interest.
Maybe you own a defense contractor and you sit on, House Armed Services. Are you making really good decisions?
A compromise bill would still allow investing, but require members to divest from individual stocks if there's a conflict with their committee assignment. Congressman Roy says the American people are just tired of seeing lawmakers seem to get rich from their insider knowledge while they're down in Washington. WABC News Time 5:11. Investors starting to temper their expectations for a December interest rate cut. That's because the Bureau of Labor Statistics announced a new schedule of data releases, and notably, the October jobs report is not among them, along with related data on hiring and layoffs.
We don't know where things are. We've been cutting, and we should finish the cutting cycle or keep going with the cutting cycle because, again, the fourth quarter GDP will have taken a definite hit from the shutdown.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent there says the government shutdown will impact things. The November jobs report being pushed back to mid-December after the Fed concludes its final policy meeting of the year. So maybe no interest rate cut, at least not another one.
I am very optimistic about the first, second, and accelerating into the third quarter in terms of growth. But I think what's important here, Laura, is we are going back to Trump-style growth, which is high growth, low inflation.
Yeah, but after the last rate cut, Fed Chair Jerome Powell indicated the lack of economic data due to the government shutdown means another cut is definitely not a certainty. And they were talking about this at the White House. Caroline Leavitt again, she had a big press conference yesterday saying the economy is strong. And she was talking about the September job reports, which showed the U.S. economy added more than expected. She says that's proof that the economy is humming along.
Nearly all of this solid monthly job growth came from the private sector and went to Americans rather than foreign-born workers, the opposite of what we saw under the previous administration. According to the American Farm Bureau Federation's annual survey, cooking Thanksgiving dinner will also cost less this year than it did last year and is down about 5% overall.
Yeah, this is big back and forth, which at some point seems a little silly, about the cost of Thanksgiving dinner. We do this every year. Is it more than the previous year? Some people are saying, yeah, it's a lot more. Others are saying it's not more.
President Trump's entire economic agenda is aimed at putting more money back into the pockets of hardworking Americans.
All right, 5:14. Let's go down to Texas, where the Muslim activist group CARE suing the state of Texas now. They say this week's designation as a foreign terrorist organization is unconstitutional and defamatory.
This is a period of time in our government where when you speak against the government is trying to take action against you.
That's CARE's attorney Charles Swift says the lawsuit defending their free rights speech. Texas Governor Greg Abbott directed state troopers to investigate both CARE and the Muslim Brotherhood. He also shot a letter to North Texas lawmakers and sheriffs warning that Sharia law courts are subverting state law. Here's more from CARE's attorney Charles Swift says they're being silenced by people in power like Governor Abbott.
They're bending the law. They're breaking the law. They're ignoring the law. It's not a coincidence that CARE was targeted. They've been a real thorn inside, standing up for what are clear free speech rights.
He says they'll continue to do so. All right. In a moment, we're going to go over to Kentucky, where we're getting a little more on what happened in that UPS plane crash that killed 3 on board, 11 on the ground. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Alec.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Start here on the ice. Had a triple header last night out in Detroit. The Islanders ran a rough shot on the road against the Red Wings, shutting them out 5-0. Shabanov netted a pair of goals. Matt Barzal, Bo Horvat, and Callum Ritchie added tallies of their own. In round 2, the win, Ilya Sorokin made 29 saves between the pipes. Up next for the Islanders, they'll return home where they'll welcome in the St. Louis Blues for a Saturday afternoon matinee tomorrow. In Denver, the Rangers got doubled up on by the Avalanche. Final score 6-3. JT Miller broke out of a slump of 2 power play goals after scoring just once in his previous 9 games. Adam Edstrom also scored. Mika Zibanejad had 2 assists, and Igor Shesterkin stopped 29 shots for New York. The Rangers have lost 3 straight. Up next for the Sliding Blue Shirts, they'll conclude their 3-game road trip at Utah tomorrow night. Finally, the Devils got blanked as well by the Panthers, losing 1-0 in Florida. They were blanked for the first time this season, wasting a 23-save effort from Jake Allen. To mark the second time this season, New Jersey failed to get a standings point in back-to-back games. Up next for the Devs, they'll play at Philadelphia tomorrow night. And you got one NBA game to look ahead to tonight, 7:30 p.m. tip-off for the Nets out in Boston against the Celtics. That is NBA Cup group play. And it was...
group play begins? I'm really excited about this.
It actually began a couple weeks ago normally.
Oh, it did?
Yeah. And that's played a couple of NBA Cup group play games already.
They did?
Yeah.
Did they change jerseys? They have like cool jerseys for the group play, or do they just stay in their home jerseys?
Yeah, because I'm keeping up with the Brooklyn Nets NBA Cup group play.
Right.
They've won 2 games all season, but hey, they're going to win the NBA Cup. Let's keep up with that.
This the 3rd season they've been doing this?
Yeah, I believe so.
And still nobody really understands exactly what
it still
it's
really
about.
doesn't make much sense to me. So whatever. I guess they just hand out a trophy in the middle of the season. Keep everybody
and
entertained.
checks, by the way, too.
Yeah, keeps everybody. They keep the players entertained and motivated. I guess I don't really know. Maybe it's too long of a season, and that's why they feel the need to throw something, just jam it right into the middle of the year. Here's a little more incentive. I don't really.
Yeah, the whole thing's odd.
Yeah, it really is.
Hoorah!
Yes. That's going to get me going on a Friday. Football. Week 12 getting underway last night with Thursday Night Football. Your final from Houston. The Texans beat the Bills 23-19. Josh Allen throwing 2 picks in that game last night. And coming up this Sunday, both early afternoon games, 1 p.m. kickoff for both the Giants and the Jets. 2-9 Giants. They are at the 6-4 Lions, and they are 10-point road underdogs there. As for the Jets, they are at the 5-5 Baltimore Ravens, and they are 13.5-point road underdogs in that one. Yeah,
I mean, these teams can't get worse. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you could have them lose collectively this weekend by like a total of 6 touchdowns, maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, me neither. All right, anyway, that's your Sports Gnome. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 520. Let's head over to Kentucky, where the governor there, Andy Beshear, reacting to the NTSB's preliminary report of the UPS plane crash in Louisville. The agency's report says the plane's left engine and left pylon detached from the plane shortly after it took off.
I do know that the plane had undergone, at least from what I read, the regular suggested maintenance and reviews, but certainly this is something we have to learn more about.
But the report says cracks were found in the hardware attaching the engine to the wing, and there were signs of overstressing. 3 crew members were killed in the crash. 11 people on the ground died.
This was a UPS plane that was involved, so UPS needs to be a part of the healing and the health of families. I'm at least pleased that UPS is directly communicating with families, with those impacted, and will continue to hope and encourage them to do their part to rebuild.
NTSB saying its final report is not expected for at least 18 to 24 months. There are now 2 federal court rulings that will block a new Texas law that requires that the 10 Commandments be posted in public schools. The legislation also being challenged at the 5th Circuit Court of Appeals, meaning the case will likely end up in the Supreme Court.
We are a long way from this issue being over.
That's Jonathan Covey. He's with the group Texas Values. They're the group that's pushed to put the 10 Commandments in all classrooms.
It's about giving students the full picture of our legal and moral framework.
And they're ready to take this fight to the Supreme Court. He says displaying the Bible verses gives students historical context of the American justice system. The ACLU says it violates the separation of church and state. 522, the State Department now offering a reward of $15 million for information that leads to the arrest of Canadian Olympic snowboarder Ryan Wedding. Correspondent Morgan Chesky has more.
Authorities saying Wedding, who allegedly uses the names El Jefe, Giant, and Public Enemy, runs one of the world's most dangerous drug trafficking rings, working closely with the notorious Sinaloa cartel.
A new indictment unsealed accuses Wedding of putting a bounty on the head of a federal witness who was gunned down in a Columbia restaurant before he could testify against Wedding. Wedding faces a number of charges, including murder, witness tampering, drug trafficking.
The new federal charges, part of the FBI's Operation Giant Slalom, accuse Wedding of ordering the murder of a federal witness in Colombia. Authorities say Wedding placed a bounty on the witness's head as they were testifying on Wedding's alleged role running the drug ring. Wedding competed for Canada at the 2002 Winter Games in Salt Lake City. He was added to the FBI's 10 Most Wanted last March. That reward now increased to $15 million.
Crazy story, right? 523, travelers trying to go through the airport without one of those real IDs or a passport could now be charged an $18 fee.
The money would go towards the cost of an alternative identity verification program that uses biometric data to verify identity. A public notice about the proposal was published Thursday by the TSA, but no start date has been given. Real ID was made into law back in 2005, but only became required this year. I'm Mark Mayfield.
WABC News Time 523. George W. Bush among about 1,000 people paying tribute to former Vice President Dick Cheney at the National Cathedral in Washington yesterday.
We are grateful for his good life. We honor his service. And we pray that somewhere up the trail, we will meet him again.
Cheney died earlier this month at age 84. The president says Cheney's talent exceeded his ego, adding that he will always cherish his relationship with him.
In a profession that attracts talkers, he was a thinker and a listener. Even before the Cheney name reached the national stage, people always saw something in the man. Solid, reliable, and rare.
Former President Joe Biden, as well as former Vice Presidents Kamala Harris, Mike Pence, Al Gore, other dignitaries were in attendance. The White House did confirm that President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance were not invited. The Cheney family has long time been critics of Trump and campaigned with Kamala Harris during the last election cycle. Roughly 800 air traffic controllers and technicians with perfect work attendance during the government shutdown. They're now set to receive those bonus checks of $10,000.
The Department of Transportation and the FAA says the bonus is for their patriotic work ensuring sky safety, part of a directive from President Trump. The president said he would reward workers who dealt with the chaos of the 40-day shutdown, which resulted in overtime, mass call-outs, and thousands of flight cancellations and delays. Those with perfect attendance will be notified next week and reportedly get their payout by December 9th. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Verizon going to cut thousands of jobs in its largest layoff ever. The wireless carrier announcing yesterday 13,000 jobs will be cut as part of its effort to reduce costs and restructure operations. Verizon says the layoffs are an opportunity to restructure, realign its priorities. The layoffs come as Verizon lags behind other carriers in adding new subscribers. In fact, the one detail we saw is Verizon added 44,000 monthly subscribers in the third quarter, while T-Mobile added more than 1 million. Walmart raising its revenue outlook for the year after a strong third quarter earnings report.
Revenue for the quarter was up nearly 6% over last year at $179.5 billion. The retail giant saw double-digit growth in e-commerce. Walmart also announced it's moving its stock listing from the New York Stock Exchange to NASDAQ next month. I'm Matt Mattinson.
Apparently, Tampa, Florida is considered the worst spot in the country for holiday traffic this year.
Consumer Affairs analyzed the 50 most populous areas across 4 metrics: hours of congestion during the holidays, miles traveled during the holidays, fatal crashes in good weather, and fatal crashes in bad weather. According to the report, Tampa saw the highest jump in congestion during the holidays, with drivers stuck in heavy traffic for about 4 hours and 24 minutes a day. Coming in right behind Tampa, Birmingham, St. Louis, Cleveland, and Phoenix, Arizona, where drivers can expect to sit in slow-moving traffic for just over 2.5 hours a day during the holidays. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, November 21st. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Clouds today, high 52. Mixed bag for the weekend. Saturday we'll have rain in the morning, clouds in the afternoon, high 50. But Sunday, it'll be sunshine, high 51. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. It's 36 cloudy in Mount Ivy up in Rockland County, 42 and cloudy in Lambertville over in New Jersey, and it's 40 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 5:39. Mayor-elect Mamdani will be in Washington this afternoon for that big meeting with President Trump.
This meeting is between two very different candidates who they voted for the same reason. They wanted a leader who would take on the cost of living crisis that makes it impossible for working people to afford living in this city.
The president has repeatedly bashed Mamdani, calling him a communist, also threatening to withhold federal funds to New York if he won the election.
It's about a relationship between New York City and the White House, the president, the federal administration. And I will look to make clear that my interest goes beyond any one of an individual. It's for the people that I look to represent. That's the case I'll make. New Yorkers for whom the daily acts of life are becoming increasingly harder to afford. And that's an opportunity I have to make the case to President Trump.
Yeah, and that's, he says, where they have a lot in common when they talk about affordability. President Trump's son, Eric, he was weighing in on the meeting last night.
I don't think this is the right direction from New York. I hope this guy is a lot more bravado than he is real action, but we'll see tomorrow. And, and again, this is Donald Trump at his best. If the guy wants to showboat, I think, he'll showboat right back.
Yeah, in fact, he says President Trump, he says he hopes that Mamdani has the right intentions when he shows up at the White House today.
I can tell you there's a lot of people who have gone into the White House before and tried to make a scene and tried to have a big PR event, and I think most of the people got laughed out of it. I mean, we saw that with Zelensky. I think I could probably name 25 people who went into the White House trying to be tough guys, and it didn't end up all that well for them.
And New Yorkers say, yeah, they're kind of watching this thing closely.
I'd like to see it go well.
I guess they need him, for certain things, but I don't think it's going to work out too well. In the end, nah.
It's going to be kind of comical but sad, but I trust Mamdani.
It is customary for the incoming mayor to meet with the president at the White House, so that part is not a big deal. Of course, it is a big deal when you're Mamdani and you spent your whole campaign bashing President Trump, and President Trump has been bashing Mamdani. Makes it a little more interesting.
I'm just so curious about how it's going to go.
Yeah.
I have no idea what they're going to talk about. I hope they talk about making the city safer, and helping mentally ill people.
Peace with everybody is important. He shouldn't have any animosity or hostility to anybody.
Okay, that meeting is at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and it comes after earlier this week, Mayor Mamdani was able to convince Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch to stay on. And he did talk a little bit about that yesterday. He says, they don't agree on everything. They don't have everything in common, but he's happy she's there.
I think that these are disagreements that are actually signs of a healthy relationship.
Yeah, so Tisch did tell him apparently during some of these meetings that she wants to hire more officers while Mamdani does not. Tisch has also heavily criticized the bail reforms laws in Albany while Mamdani supports those laws. 5:42, let's go out to Brooklyn. Police are searching for the mom who left a fetus stuffed in a black bag, ditched it in a pile of leaves behind a Brooklyn public housing development. They found this fetus yesterday. A boy boy believed to be between 5 to 7 months old. It's about 11 a.m. behind a building on East 102nd Street. It's the NYCHA Bayview houses in Canarsie. And people saw the police milling around yesterday wondering what was going on.
I'm also a mother that lost a baby. You can't just throw it out. It's not an animal, not trash.
I saw that at the cold crime scene unit. It's crazy, yo. A lot of people was devastated around here.
Yeah, they did bring in EMS workers. They responded to the scene. They pronounced that fetus dead at the scene.
I feel sorry for the baby. You know, the baby doesn't need to pay the consequences of people's mistakes.
It's truly sad, and I hope they catch the person.
Yeah, so not immediately clear how long the child had been there before the heartbreaking discovery.
We can't judge nobody. We don't know what happened. Like I'm going to say it again. But all I'm going to say to people is resources out there. If you feel pressured, if you feel, there's resources out there. We don't want this.
Yeah, she's right. City Medical Examiner's Office will officially determine how the baby died. But yeah, there are resources. You can drop your child off. No questions asked. Firehouse, police station. I'm probably leaving out a place or two. But no questions asked as long as somebody's there. At the firehouse, police station, you can drop that baby off. And better for an infant in the Bronx who was found abandoned in a trash can yesterday. This was in Williamsbridge. The umbilical cord still attached. The newborn found in front of an apartment door on East 222nd Street. This was about 12 o'clock. A 71-year-old woman who was putting out the trash saw the infant and then called 911. Police raced in.
The officer was holding the umbilical cord up in the air, but it looked like it was still trapped into, still attached to the stomach. I'm a father. I don't condone any abuse or abandonment to kids.
Yeah, so when police showed up at the scene, they saw that this infant, thank God, was still alive. So they put the newborn in their cruiser. They raced over to Montefiore Medical Center. Baby's in stable condition, going to be fine. New video shows the officer holding the infant while getting into the passenger side of the cruiser. A gentle scene.
I'm glad the baby's okay. I've seen the baby's alive, so that's my biggest thing I was thinking about all day.
So then, of course, the search was on for the mom. It didn't take the mom. They found her. 28-year-old Claudette Tinnen, now charged with reckless endangerment, abandonment of a child, acting in a manner injurious to a child. Police say she lives just about a block away from where the baby was found. In a moment, we'll go out to Long Island. Remember that creep we told you about who worked at a Long Island sleep center and set up cameras inside fire alarms? Well, he was in court yesterday, and we'll get the latest on that story coming up in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Start with our triple header on the ice last night and out in Detroit. The Islanders ran a roughshod on the road against the Red Wings, shutting them out 5-0. Maxim Shabanov netted a pair of goals. Matt Barzal, Bo Horvat, and Caleb Marici added tallies of their own en route to the win. Elias Sorokin made 29 saves between the pipes. Up next for the Islanders, they'll return home where they'll welcome in the St. Louis Blues for a Saturday afternoon matinee tomorrow. In Denver, the Rangers got doubled up on by the Avalanche. Final score there, 6-3. JT Miller broke out of a slump with 2 power play goals after scoring just once in his previous 9 games. Adam Edstrom also scored. Mika Zibanejad had 2 assists, and Igor Shesterkin stopped 29 shots for New York. Rangers have lost 3 straight. Up next for the Sliding Blue Shirts, they'll conclude their 3-game road trip at Utah tomorrow night. Finally, the Devils got blanked as well by the Panthers, losing 1-0 in Florida. They were shut out for the first time this season, wasting a 23-save effort from Jake Allen. It marked the second time this season that New Jersey failed to get a standings point in back-to-back games. Up next for them, they'll play at Philadelphia tomorrow night. One basketball game to look forward to tonight, and yes, it is NBA Cup group play, much to the pleasure of a one Noam Layden. 7:30 p.m. tip-off. It's the Nets out in Boston against the Celtics. And Week 12 in the NFL got underway last night with Thursday Night Football. Your final from Houston saw the Texans beat the Bills 23-19. Sunday afternoon, early slate, 1 p.m. kickoff for both the 2-9 Giants and the 2-8 Jets. Giants are out in Detroit against the 6-4 Lions. They are 10-point road underdogs in that one.
Watch this game or not even bother?
No. I mean, listen, you haven't had the best luck in weeks past watching this team play football. But, hey, silver lining, Jackson Dart should be back, and that's exciting. No, you want to see your young phenom quarterback go at it, see if he could beat the Lions. Listen, the Lions have been struggling a bunch on offense lately. Haven't been able to put up big-time points like they're used to doing. Jared Goff's been a little bit shaky. Eagles beat him up a couple of weeks ago. So, you never know, especially with Jackson Dart out there. You see what he can do under center. We shall see, but they are 10-point underdogs there on the road. As for the Jets, they are in Baltimore against the 5-5 Ravens. They are 13.5-point road underdogs. That's a lot of points. That one. Yeah, that is a lot of points. I would still take the Ravens, though.
No, you would? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that's your sports now, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
Thank you very much, Justin. Traffic, transit. Now, here's Joe Nolan. Joe, when I walked into the radio station this morning,
yes,
there was no coffee, like not a pod to be found. Which is, it's the most desperate of situations that there's no coffee. So I don't know what to do. So I come up with this plan. What if I take out, it's like a drug fiend. Because we have a Keurig.
Right.
So I was like, why don't I just take out all the things that are in the Keurig and then just put them back into the machine, like a whole bunch of them, one after another, and then I'll get a cup of coffee. And I was like, no, that's not going to work. So I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I was really panicking. And then I remembered that Pete Morgan, thank God for Pete Morgan from Peerless Boilers. He had given me a box of Starbucks pods a long time ago because I had complained about the same thing, that we had run out of coffee one morning and there was one pod left in it. Oh my God.
Thank goodness.
I can't even tell you. I was like, this is what a drug fiend must feel like. Because when I found that pod, my whole body just felt better. And then as I made the cup, I was worried that I was going to spill it on my way back to my desk. I did not, thankfully. But I was like, oh my God, it really is like a drug fiend.
Bad.
Yes.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we used to have interns to send them out to the bodega to get a box of coffee.
Well, not at 3 a.m. There's no interns.
No, you're not going to be able to do that, I guess. Yeah. Not anymore. Things are different than they used to be.
They are. They're not like this. Not the good old days anymore.
No.
WABC News Time 5:50. Let's go out to Long Island, where a sleep center worker who pled guilty in July to secretly recording coworkers and patients in the bathroom, sentenced yesterday, 6 months in jail, 5 years probation. Sanjay Syam is a former employee of the Northwell Health Sleep Disorders Center. Initially, he was going to be sentenced just to probation in order to register as a sex offender. But after hearing impact statements from 2 victims, Judge Merrill Berkowitz indicated that she was considering adding jail time, and she did.
It's me. It's my son. He's a minor. This is something that can haunt us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, that's one of the victims speaking out yesterday. Syam Parasad installed hidden cameras in bathrooms and changing rooms. He put them into smoke alarms, and took a while for everybody to figure out what was going on. One of the attorneys, he's involved in a class action lawsuit, is Joel Rubenstein. He was in court yesterday.
It's devastating, and I've personally spoken to probably 500 victims, and I can tell you they've all been, their lives have been changed by this.
Yeah, a lot of people probably don't even know that they're victims. Nassau County DA Ann Donnelly said that between at least July 2023 and April 2024, the cameras captured recordings of approximately thousands of individuals while they were using the bathrooms at this sleep center.
I'm very glad that he's getting some jail time. I still don't think it's enough. Yeah. There are many victims that we were not able to identify, but we know that they were victimized.
Yeah, he only got 6 months. Doesn't seem like a whole lot. 5:52, we're waiting to find out if Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman's going to jump into the GOP primary for governor next year against, why am I blanking on the upstate congresswoman? Oh, my God. It's Friday, isn't it? Anyway, so he'll jump into the primary Elise Stefanik next year. And the thought is that he will. And yesterday they were asking Governor Hochul, who would you rather take on? Would you rather take on Bruce Blakeman or Elise Stefanik? And she said, either way, she said she wasn't worried.
It doesn't matter how many Trump cheerleaders decide to run against me. I'm told the Republican Party wants to make sure they have identified the most mega Republican who will serve Donald Trump if if they become governor. So I look forward to having a very robust debate about who I'm fighting for. It is not Donald Trump. It's for the people of New York.
Now, Blakeman's been all over the state talking to people. He's not officially announced to run for governor, but is expected to. Elise Stefanik, she announced, now it's almost 2 weeks ago. Over to New Jersey, where a former staffer for New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew is accused of faking a political attack against herself, going so far as to have an artist scar her body. 26-year-old Natalie Green, who's from Ocean City, has been charged with a whole bunch of things, including making false statements to law enforcement. They say back over the summer, she called 911 and claimed that she had been attacked by 3 men while walking on a trail at a nature preserve in Egg Harbor Township. Claimed the men called Green out by name. They had referenced her employment working for this Republican congressman, and they had tattooed her body with the words Trump whore and Van Drew is a racist. There were zip ties around her wrists. There was lacerations on her face, neck, upper chest, and shoulder. And now police say, and prosecutors, that she had somebody do that to her, all in a bid to send some sort of message. They're not even clear what was going on.
I don't know any more than you all do, and we never would interfere with an investigation.
Now, that was Congressman Van Drew in Washington yesterday. Green told police at least one of the men who allegedly attacked her had a gun, threatened to shoot her. Again, there was no men. After they did this investigation, they realized that none of this was true. And for people who, by the way, who go to this nature preserve in Egg Harbor, they were freaked out by this. They were saying, you know what, until investigators figure out who's behind these attacks, I'm going to stay away from the park.
I'm not sure why somebody would want that type of attention. It's crazy how the world is today.
Yeah. To actually have permanent damage done to your body that will be there forever is extremely extreme. I mean, she will likely be permanently scarred from what she did.
Yeah, if you look at the pictures of her, I mean, it is intense. There's clearly something wrong with this woman. Part of the way they were able to catch up with her is they found some of the zip ties that were around her wrist. They found them in her car.
They committed a lot of manpower to this.
Yeah. I have family members who don't even come to the reserve anymore. I hope she gets the help that she needs.
Yeah, so now they can tell you, no, there was no attack at the Egg Harbor Preserve. As the U.S. emerges from this government shutdown, millions of travelers, of course, preparing for one of the busiest travel weekends of the year ahead of Thanksgiving. And people are worried, hey, am I going to be able to get where I'm going? Over the last couple of days, by the way, it has been okay. It seems everything is back to normal. But of course, this is now the busiest travel week of the year. And so at the airports, they say they're ready. As you've heard from Joe Nolan this morning, there's already 30-minute lines at the TSA counter. So definitely leave yourself a lot of time if you're thinking about jetting out for the long holiday weekend or you have plans to do so. In the towers, the control towers, air traffic control towers, they say they're fully staffed now. And so they say this is it. This is the big week that everybody waits for, and they're ready.
This is kind of our Super Bowl for travel, and we're really excited about it. Looking forward to welcoming our passengers here into Newark. We're scheduled to operate, or to expect about 6.6 million passengers through this holiday season. That runs from today all the way through December 2nd. Here at Newark locally, we're looking at about 980,000 passengers to come through here.
Wow, that's unbelievable. 980,000 passengers through December 2nd. And department stores across Manhattan starting to deck the halls.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la.
Macy's Herald Square window displays has the theme called The Most Wonderful Story Starts Here. This year's windows features a series of firsts, celebrating Macy's holiday traditions, including Santa Claus's arrival in 1861, the first window displays in 1874, and the first Thanksgiving Day Parade in 1924. Bloomingdale's 59th Street is also unveiling its festive windows, with the theme being Happy Together, promising immersive experiences throughout the store. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?